Hi everyone, this is Deborah, and in this video I'm going to cover some of the key components in enhancing page layout and design in Microsoft Word 365. Okay, on my screen I have a document about a health clinic. It's a 2-page document. And so the first thing I want to do is demonstrate something called WordArt. So first I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And what I want to do is sort of spice up the title where it says Living a Healthy Life. Right now it's pretty boring and dull, and so I want to select the text and I'm going to give it a special style. It's called WordArt. WordArt is found on the Insert tab over here in the text group. When you click WordArt, you can apply one of these fancy styles to the text you have selected, or you can click one of these on a blank page and just start typing. Right now I'm going to choose this selection. And notice that when I did that, it kind of got moved down and it shoved over this other subtext, and I don't like the way that looks. So I need to do something about that. I need to change the layout choice. This is how you can determine where something like this can sit in the document. It gives you a lot more choices. So what you do is, if you are clicked away from it, you click on the object, which I'm doing right now, and then you click this little icon called Layout Options. And that brings you these choices. So if you hover your mouse over, your pointer over some of these, it'll tell you what it's called. This one, which is selected right now, is called Square. And the default setting is to move it along with text. Well, that's kind of a difficult thing to work with. So what I would suggest doing instead is choosing this one, Fixed Position on Page, because that way you can click and drag this object and put it wherever you want. So I'm going to just leave it here, kind of in the middle. And I think what I also want to do is change the color, because it's kind of a dull color. So I'm clicking to select it, and I'm going to go up here to Text Fill in the WordArt Styles group. And notice too that when I click away from this object, the contextual tab for WordArt goes away. It disappears. So to bring it back, you've got to click on the WordArt again, and now you've got this shape format. It doesn't say WordArt, but it's shape format, and you've got WordArt styles you can pick from here, along with a lot of other things too. So I'm going to go here in the WordArt styles group and choose Text Fill. And I'm going to pick a different color. Let's see what might look good. Oh, maybe green. Okay. And it only applied to one of the words. I want to apply it to all of the words. So I'm going to do that. And I also want to make it bigger and spread it across the whole page from margin to margin. So one thing I want to do is click and drag these side handles to spread it out so that it reaches to both margins across the page. And then what I want to do is increase the size of the font. So I'm going to select the text and come up here and choose a larger font. Now you can just click this menu choice and go this route and pick out one of these larger fonts. Or you can just click and drag across this number, the size, and then just type in a custom size font. Press enter, click away, and there you have it. Now another thing I want to do is change how the text flows from one side to the other. And by that I mean literally change the way it looks on the page so that it's more of a flowy look, more of an interesting look. So to do that, make sure you select the text first. So after you select the text, you go here to the WordArt Styles group and select Text Effects, and then go to the bottom of that menu and go where it says transform. And this is where you can make text look really interesting. So what I'm going to do is select something like this right here, chevron. It's called chevron up. Click away, and it's not a extreme look. It's just kind of it's just a slight effect. The next thing I want to do is put some of this text into 2 columns, but not the whole document. So how do you think I should do that? Well, if you thought about putting in a continuous section break, that is exactly right. So this is where I'm going to do it, right after the word clinics. So I'm going to click right here after clinics. I'm going to go up here to the Layout tab. That's where we find breaks. Click breaks and then select, under section breaks, select continuous. And unfortunately, it also put in an extra space. Now, how do I know where the section break is? Because it's kind of invisible. Well, if you thought I should go to the Home tab and select the Show Hide button, that would be correct. Okay, I click the Show Hide button, and what that does is it shows the non-printing characters. Things like when I press Enter, it creates a new paragraph, which means that you see this little backwards capital P symbol. So the section break I put in, the continuous one, is right here. There it is. And this is the extra paragraph line that it also included. Well, I don't want that, so I'm going to make sure my flashing bar insertion point is right there. I'm going to click backspace and then click delete. And that takes care of the extra space. Okay, so I've got a continuous section break there. And right now, I just want to put some of this document, some of the text, into 2 columns. Okay, so the 2 columns I want will be here. So from here to up to here, that's where I want the 2 columns to be. So where should I put the second section break? There definitely needs to be a second one. And if you said at the end of where I want the 2 columns to be, that would be correct. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to choose right here, right after the period, at the end of the text where I want the 2 columns. And I'm going to go back to Layout, back to Breaks, and choose Continuous. And again, it put in an extra space. So for now, I'm going to leave that space there. I might actually want it to be there. Okay, so now I want to put all the text in between these 2 section breaks into 2 columns. So I first have to click anywhere inside this section between the 2 breaks. And anywhere in the section is fine. And when I do that, then I can go up back to the Layout tab and choose Columns and choose 2. Okay, let's click away from that area. That looks good. I actually like the way that looks. So I've got my 2 columns. I've got the rest of the text in one single column, but I also have this list of classes, and it's kind of hard to read it when it's all just one long list like that. I don't want it to be that long. I'd rather put this into 2 or even maybe 3 columns. So what I'm going to do is put a continuous section break after the word classes right there. All right, so I go back to Layout, to Breaks, Continuous, okay, and press Delete once to delete that extra space. Now, before I can put this list into columns, multiple columns, I do need to put in one more section break at the very end. If I don't, I won't be able to change this into columns. So I click to put my flashing insertion point at the very, very end of this text. I go back to Layout and Breaks and choose Continuous. Now, if I click to put my flashing insertion point anywhere inside this section between the 2 breaks, now if I go to Columns and choose 2 or 3, let's go with 3, then it works. So I have 3 columns. I like that look. That looks really good. I'm going to turn off the Show Hide button on the Home ribbon, Home tab, and let's take a look at what we've got so far. That looks pretty good. Now I want to try to jazz up the text just a little bit more. Let's put in a drop cap. Okay, a drop cap is a dropped capital letter at the first word at the beginning of any line of text or column of text. And most of the time you see it at the very first sentence on a page. So what I'm going to do is select this capital letter B for the very first word in the very first column of text on the first page. Below the subtitle, of course. You don't want to put a drop cap on a subtitle. That looks really weird. So we'll have the capital B become a drop cap. So now that I've selected it, I'm ready to put in the dropped cap, which is located in the Insert tab. So I click Insert, and I go way over here next to WordArt. It's in the text group, and I select Drop Cap, and I take a look at what the choices are. I've got None, which is what it is right now, and I've got Dropped. And if I hover my mouse pointer over this, you can see an example of what it would look like. Or I can go here in margin. I don't think I like that one. I like this one much better. So I'm going to choose that one. Or I could go to Drop Cap Options and make some very specific choices about where it sits. But right now I'm just going to choose Dropped and click OK. Click away, and there's what it looks like. You know what? Maybe that looks a little too big, so I'm going to choose this again. I'm going to go to Drop Cap, go to Drop Cap Options, and this time I am going to make a choice here where it says Lines to Drop. It's, if you can see, it's dropped down for, it covers like 3 lines. How about if I just do 2? Let's put it to 2 and then click OK. Yeah, you know, I like that better. I think that looks better. All right, so there's a drop cap. Next, I want to put in a special symbol. A special symbol or little picture, little icon picture, can be found in a couple different places, but the ones I really want to look at are over here on the Insert tab, which is where we were just a minute ago. And if you look way over on the right-hand side, you'll see symbols. This is so cool. It's a lot of fun to put in symbols. But first, before I choose a symbol, I need to decide where the symbol's going to go. So I think what I'm going to do is put it right here at the end of this column of text. So I'm going to put it there. Then I'm going to go to the symbol button. And you've got some general symbols here that some people use frequently, like the copyright symbol, for example, or the trademark symbol, or something more decorative like that. But if you want to see something else, if there's nothing here that appeals to you or is what you need, then you click More Symbols, and you get this incredible dialog box. Look at all these symbols. Oh my goodness. Well, first, take a look up here, and this is really important, people, because if you don't do this, you're not going to know you're not going to be able to find specific symbols. You go up here to where it says Font, and the default setting when you first open this dialog box for symbols is that it shows you the Webdings collection of fonts. And so this is Webdings, and Webdings is very good. There's lots of great stuff here you can choose from, but there's also others. So if you click to select a different font style, like Wingdings, for example, then you get a whole other collection. So it's really a good idea to check out some of these other symbols. There's Wingdings 2 and Wingdings 3, different collections of things that you can choose from. So for now, I'm just going to go with Wingdings. And I think what I'm going to do is choose this symbol. And notice down here where it says character code, each symbol has its own number. So if you see an instruction on on an assignment that tells you put in character Wingding's character code 67. Okay, then you would enter the number 67 down here and it would instantly select the correct symbol. So if I choose a different number, like, oh, I don't know, 60, it would change to that symbol, whatever 60 is. So I'm going to choose this one, which happens to be 67, and I'm going to click Insert. Click Close, and there it is. Well, it's pretty small. A lot of these symbols are very small. So I'm going to select the symbol by highlighting it, and I'm going to make it bigger. Increase font size right here on the shortcut menu. Now, unfortunately, it also increases, because it's increased size on the line, it also increases the spacing between these two lines. I don't think I like that at all. So I'm going to put it back to where it was. And if I can't remember what number, what size it was, that's okay. All I have to do is go to Styles, click Styles, and then at the very, very bottom where it says Clear Formatting, it'll remove all the formatting I did to that one character, that symbol. So that put it back to the original size. And that's probably how I'm going to leave it. So, okay, we've got that going. Next, I'm going to show you how to insert a picture, a graphic element, and remove its background. Okay, so let's say that I want to put a picture down here into this area. Chill out with proven stress reduction strategies. Okay, I want to put a picture in here. So I'm going to place my flashing insertion point here at the end of the first line of text just to see, you know, how that's going to look when I find the picture I want. So I'm going to then go up to make sure I'm in the Insert tab. I'm going to go to Pictures, Insert Picture from Online Pictures, and let's see. I want a picture that illustrates reducing stress. So if I want to just put one word up here, which is a better way of searching here than a whole phrase, I think I'll choose the word relax. So I'll pick relax and press enter. And there's some really good choices here. I can scroll down and look at them. And I like this one. I'm going to choose this one. So I'm going to click on it and then click insert down here in the lower right. And let's see what happens. Okay, it was inserted. Okay. However, because it's so big, it kind of screwed up my document. So I need to make some changes to how it looks. First of all, I'm going to make it smaller by clicking and dragging the diagonal corner button down and in. And then what I want to do is change its alignment. Now, if you can remember what I did up here with this object, with the WordArt up here, remember I used the layout options? Well, I'm going to do the same thing with this picture. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to select layout options. Inline with text? No, I don't think so. I think what I want is tight, so I'm going to choose tight. Okay, that looks better, but I also want it to be floating free, which means I'd be able to click and drag it anywhere I want. So I'm going to choose fixed position on page instead of moving with the text. Okay, that looks good. That's what I want. So now I'm going to click away from that, and I can now click and drag this picture and put it where I want it to go. Okay. Yeah, this is what I want. I want it to be over here. That looks good. And I might want to change its shape. You know, the square shape is fine, but it really doesn't. Let me zoom out. I'd rather have it be a softer shape. So I think what I'll do is select it and then go up here to Picture Format, which is a contextual ribbon or contextual tab. Okay, you know, remember contextual means that if I click away from the object, that tab goes away and I don't have it ready for me to use. So it's contextual, meaning that it's just there when to support this particular graphic. So I'm going to click on the graphic, and then I've got my contextual tab, and I can click on it, picture format, and that gives me all kinds of great tools. So one of the things I want to do is crop this picture to a different shape. So I'm going to go over here to the right hand side to the crop button, click that, and choose crop to shape. And when I hover over that, look at all these different shapes. I can pick any one of these shapes to change the shape of the picture. So if I want it to be, let's say if I want it to be a heart, if I click that, it turns it into a heart. I don't like that, but I just wanted to show it to you. So I'm going to go back to crop to shape, and instead of a heart, I think what I'm going to do is choose just an oval. Yeah, I like that. That looks better. That looks much better. Okay, now I want to put some effects on this picture. So I'm going to click on it again, go back up here to picture format, and this time I'm going to choose a picture style. Or I could go to picture effects, maybe soft edges. Okay, that might be interesting. That looks kind of good. I like that. That looks nice. And I want to show you how to remove a picture's background. So back on the picture format, and by the way, you can bring the picture format tab back by double clicking on the graphic object. Okay, that brings it back. So now that I have that, I want to remove its background. I just want to have some of the objects here. I don't necessarily want this whole background behind the objects. So I go over here to remove background, and check it out. It turns a lot of it into hot pink. Well, the hot pink areas are the areas that are going to be erased. Now, if I leave it the way it is and click Keep Changes up here, look what it's going to look like. Ew, I don't like that at all. So I'm going to undo what I did. A quick way to do that, as we know, is to press and hold down the Control key and tap the letter Z for zebra. That undoes the last thing that I did. And I'm going to go back up here to remove background again. And this time I'm going to make some changes so that it doesn't erase everything. It just erases the background. So what I want to do is mark the areas to keep. So I'm going to click that. And what happens then is when I place my mouse pointer over the picture, it turns into a pencil, and I can draw lines around the areas I want to keep. So I do want to keep the flower, that's great, but I also want to keep these spheres. So I'm going to click and drag around these. Oh, it only picked up one of them, so I need to do that again. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries to get it just right. And I also want to keep this candle with the flame and all this other stuff over here. Let's see if I can get it. It's a little hard to do it unless you have an external mouse, which I don't right now. Let's make sure that I've got everything I need. Okay, I've got the objects I want, but I also have a little bit of the background that I don't want. So I need to go back up here and choose Mark Areas to Remove, and use my pencil to mark the areas I want to get rid of. So I'm going to do that. Okay, it's not exact. You know, there's still a couple of little bits and pieces here and there, but it's a little hard to do that without an external mouse. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep the changes I've got right now. You know what? I don't think I like removing the background. I think I'm going to go back to where it was before. I do that by choosing Discard All Changes. Then click Away. And I think I'm going to just keep it right like it is. But now you know how to remove a background if you just want the objects in front to show. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is how to insert a page border. A page border is just what it says. It's a border line that just goes around the outside of the page, but it's a border line that goes around the whole outer edge of the page in the margin area. So to do that, I would go to the Design tab, and way over on the far right hand side, I'm going to choose Page Borders. I get this nifty dialog box. Over here on the right, it shows you a preview of what your document will look like. And you also have to decide whether to apply the border just to the whole document or just to one particular section or page. I want it on the whole document, so I'm going to leave that alone. And I'm going to go over here and just decide what kind of page border I want. Do I want a shadow? Would it look like that? Do I want a 3D? You know, and I don't need a custom or a 3D. What I want is just a plain box. So I want the box, but I also need to decide on the style. Do I want it to be a dotted line or a solid line, or what kind of line do I want? If you scroll through these styles, these line styles, there's all different kinds to pick from. And I'm going to just stick with a basic solid line, but I do want it to be larger, or rather a wider, thicker line. I don't want it to be this really thin line that you really wouldn't see very well. I want it to be, let's see what 1.5 looks like. And then make sure the color is what you want. The standard color is black, but I could pick one of these other colors if I wanted to. I'm just going to go with black for now and click OK. There, now you can see the border line around the outer edge of the flyer. And that makes it look polished, more polished and finished. Finally, the last thing I'm going to show you is down here. I want to put in a text box around this last paragraph above the classes list. So what I'm going to do is select this paragraph, and then I'm going to go into the Insert tab, and over on the right hand side in the text group, choose Text Box. And there's lots of different ones to pick from. What kind of text box do I want? Well, you can make it a sidebar, you know, where it would be more like a pull quote, as they say, where you're pulling a quote out of the main body of text and pushing it into the margin. Or I could make it look like this. Let's see what happens if I click on this just to play. Okay, well, that's what it did with it. I don't think I like that, so I'm going to delete that, or rather, not delete it, but undo what I did. So I'm going to go back to the Insert tab and go to Text Box. And this time I'm just going to choose, maybe I'll choose the Austin quote. And so that's what the Austin quote looks like. And again, you know, it didn't pick up the text, it just stuck in this quote box where I would have to then click in here and type what I want. So I don't want that either. So I'm going to undo that. And this time I'm just going to pick something simple. Go with the simple text box. There we go. So there's the text box. And what I want to do with it is put this text inside of it. And so to do that, I would delete what's there, which is just a little suggestion. Okay, my flashing insertion point is still inside the text box. So now I want to click and drag to select the text, but I've got to be careful not to select the text box too, because if I go too far, it'll select the box as well, and I don't want that. I just want to select the text. So I'm going to choose that, click and drag it to go inside the box, which it did. However, it messed with the placement of it and the shape and size. So I need to go to my layout options and again, you know, make it look better. So I can choose tied or through. I don't want through because then it'll have too much text going in and weaving in and out. So what I want to do, let's try this. Top and bottom, fixed position on page. and click and drag to the shape of the box. Now remember, it was down here and it was kind of, ew, I don't like that. So I'm going to put it here, but, you know, kind of make it in alignment with this text over here. And so that looks better. Okay, yeah, that looks better. Looks like I accidentally left out the period, which is way down here. So I'm going to delete that. Put it in here. There it is. Okay. And, yeah, you know, I think I want a little extra space. There we go. And I also want to show you how to format a text box. So, you know, if you want it to look simple and plain like this, that's fine. But you can also select it, which means clicking anywhere inside the box to select it. Get your contextual tab up here, select Shape Format. And this time, I can make choices about how the box looks. And so to do that, I can go over here to the Shape Styles area or the Shape Fill. I can do individual customized changes here, or I can choose styles and pick one of these really interesting looking styles. And I can change the color of the font by selecting all the text and going up here to the WordArt styles, or I can go to the Home ribbon and then choose just the basic font color. I think black probably looks best against the yellow background. Okay, that's a good effect. So what I did was I made a lot of different choices about how, not only how this is laid out as a flyer, but also what is in it and how it appeals to the human eye. And so these changes to graphic elements and where the text goes, how many columns, all of the details, the dropped cap I did at the beginning, all of the details that I did make this flyer a lot more interesting than it looked in the very beginning, which was kind of flat and boring. So I hope you picked up some good tips and that you can use those in your next Word document.